Video 15, The Paradoxes of Angry, Prideful Defiance. That is a combination that changes us human beings virtually into the very opposite of who we really are. You as a grown-up and I myself, when have you and I tried to do something about our anger? Angry judgment that sometimes passes over us. And it is very tricky. Let's look at that. Trying to stop anger when it has overcome us isn't so simple. So we look at what we're angry about and we say, I am going to try to not be angry, and we try to pull back. Well, we have to not put our hands all over anger and try to control it, because anger feeds off of our very effort to change it. Our effort to stop it is its food, and then it thrives further. So if you go then the route of trying to ease back from your anger and not feed it, and that way become free so that you go on with your day without it being troubled with what anger does to you. But here is another dynamic I would like to present, and that is what makes anger difficult to deal with in our own lives is the place of selfish pride that is its cousin. We can be focused on trying not to be angry, or to do what's more correctly, ease back from angry judgment tendencies, but miss the fact that its twin, that its cousin, creeps up behind us, selfish pride. Failing to see that it's selfish pride that we also have to be free from. Or sometime we may be aware of selfish pride in an interchange that happens with a family member, friends, or enemies, and we'll struggle with that, saying, God, help me get rid of my pride, and find that it's not happening, and fail to realize creeping up behind us, separate from our awareness, is anger. They feed each other. Now, further about this topic, the paradoxes of angry, prideful defiance, touched on a previous video, how when your child, when your family member, friend, neighbor, or your enemy projects angry judgment towards you, like what Christ said, note this principle, a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. Now that's King James Version English. But when a dough has yeast in it, the yeast goes throughout the dough and contaminates the whole. This is what angry pride does to our personality, to our attitudes. And it is difficult for we adults. It is also difficult for our kids. Now, when that contamination takes place completely, then it changes us completely. And every time a person rises up in angry judgment and vents towards you with negative, anger-based, prideful-based judgment, criticism, here is something that's always true, just as sure as gravity. Just as sure as you taking a rock and throwing it up, it's going to come back to the earth. Just as sure as water seeks its lowest point going down a mountain. This is what's true. Everything a person says to you in angry judgment, on that precise topic, the opposite is true about you. That's one of the paradoxes of angry, prideful defiance. That in every time, not only part of the time, but every time someone pridefully and angrily criticizes you vehemently and venting, take what they're saying and turn it to its opposite. Now, not only is it opposite in fact, but it's opposite in intensity. To the very intensity that that person is mad at you. To the very intensity that that person is overcome by their selfish pride in the act of criticizing you, is the very intensity that it is not true, but the opposite true. To that extent, to the loudness, to the extent of frustration and projected anger, is the very extent that the precise opposite of what they are saying is true about you. When they angrily say, you care about nobody but yourself, to the extent of that almost traumatizing intensity is the very extent that you are in fact very much caring and careful of others beyond yourself. Now let's go to another dimension of let's call it the paradox of angry, prideful defiance. This came really clear to me to its fullest extent back in about 1991 when I was working at a for-profit drug alcohol treatment program for youth. It was a 600-acre ranch owned by an attorney of the Dallas Cowboys, and I worked there as a counselor. To the degree that your child fights against you, argues against you, is defiant, I'm going to tell you something. Please believe what I'm saying. To that very extent, your son or daughter hopes that you will win. Deep down, now here's real psychology for you that you can hang your hat on. To the very extent, and doesn't matter if it's happened for months or years, to the very extent that your child's defiance is towards you, is the very extent that they hope you will win, be stronger and greater than they are, while they will fight you tooth and nail, and they will fight you tooth and nail in order to see if you are strong enough and if your love can be great enough and your maturity and strength can be greater than they are. And here is the point, so that they can feel secure in this crazy world. Now, if you sit down and talk with your angry, acting out child and put it this way, though it is true and accurate psychology, they will deny it because of several reasons we've already touched on these videos and will touch on more later. They will deny this truth. You see, here's the thing. Your son or daughter has essentially been greater than you and stronger than you. Not only that, but your son or daughter has been greater than you and stronger than any bureaucracy that has come in to try to help you with them. They have always won. They've manipulated and triangulated people in, and some of them have been counselors that take their side against you in a room where you're not sitting. This has fed something in them, angry, prideful defiance, that creates for themselves a prison of depression, anger, anxiety, and so on, that they want to be freed from, but the poison that they reach to contaminates and harms them, and they need to be freed. Look, consider what I'm saying. Under all this psychology and this spirituality, to the very extent that your son or daughter defies you, fights you, takes others to take their side against you, is the very extent that this is a little boy, this is a little girl locked in a closet deep in the center of your child that wants to be able to be freed from the prison that they are making for themselves. And so one of the solutions is that you will be an entity greater than they are. You will reawaken and will remember what you knew in the beginning when you first had your son and daughter. This is my son. This is my daughter. And you felt greater than them, and you felt in charge. But a series of events, a series of psychology, of circumstances happened that have triangulated you out of control, of being the one in control. And you as an individual and a team, should you let a team be involved that follows careful procedure, that we together with you will be an entity greater than your child. And I am going to say it a final time. Please forgive me for saying it over and over. At the very foundation, the very core of that which is your son and daughter, and it's hard to believe through all you've been going through, but at their very center, they hope you will be strong and not reason with them, not fall for the manipulations, but your child hopes that you will be bigger than him and all he can throw at you, that you will be bigger than her and all that she will throw at you, and that you will survive it so that he or she can feel secure in, like I've said before, this crazy world that you and I have got to wake up to in the morning and step out there into a world where truth doesn't matter and there's a kind of craziness. More about this in the future. Thanks so much for following these videos.